This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. Not since the founding of the modern state of Israel, not as far as we know, has a leader of Israel met with a leader of Egypt. But now all obstacles appear to have been removed for peace discussions in Jerusalem between Egyptian President Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Begin. It happened this way earlier today in CBS News interviews with the two leaders.
I'm just waiting for the proper invitation.
You must get something directly from Mr. Begin, not through the press.
Right.
And how would that be transmitted, sir, since you do not have diplomatic relations with Israel?
Why not through our mutual friend, the Americans?
And I will, during the week, ask my friend, the American ambassador to Israel, to find out in Cairo from his colleague, the American ambassador to Egypt, whether he will be prepared to give us his good offices and transmit a letter from me to President Sadat, inviting him formally and cordially through the good offices of the United States to come to Jerusalem.
We'll have more on the Sadat-Begin interviews in a moment. The interviews with the leaders of Egypt and Israel were conducted by a satellite to Cairo and Tel Aviv. I talked first with Egypt's Sadat and asked him about his offer to discuss peace in Jerusalem and whether there were any preconditions to that trip.
The only condition is that I want to discuss the whole situation with the 120 members of the Knesset and put the full picture and details of the situation from our point of view.
If you get that formal invitation, how soon are you prepared to go?
Really, I'm looking forward to fulfill this visit in the earliest time possible.
Would that could be, say, within a week?
You can say that, yes.
You said that you wish to address the Knesset, the parliament in Israel. Would you also
That's right.
Would you also engage in substantive discussion?
I mean, exchange of views or so with Begin, yes.
What about the opposition from some of your fellow leaders in the Arab world to this visit? They have expressed this to you, I gather.
I didn't tell any one of my colleagues, and I didn't ask them to agree or not agree upon this. I felt that my responsibility and my responsibility as president of Egypt also is to try all means to reach peace. And I took this decision. For sure, there are those who are against it. But as much as I am convinced that this is the right way and my people backs me, I shall be fulfilling the whole thing.
Has the PLO leader, Yasser Arafat, expressed any opinion on this visit to Premier Begin?
Not at all. Not at all, because as I told you, Walter, this is my initiative.
What is the ultimate that could result from such a meeting? What's the best you could hope for?
We are in a crucial moment. There has never been a suitable moment in the Arab world to reach genuine peace like we are now. So I want to put the facts before them. And at the same time, we want to discuss what will be the other alternative if we can't achieve peace. It will be horrible. Believe me, horrible.
You suggested that perhaps a Palestinian, now as a professor in an American university, might be a proper representative and solve this problem of who would represent the Palestinians at Geneva.
Right.
Now, you said that Yasser Arafat had agreed with that.
Yes.
However, now the information director for the PLO at the Tunis meeting of foreign ministers says the whole idea is absurd.
You know, we are accustomed to this in the Arab world, and I anticipated this. But you see, as I'm telling you, I'm quite calm.
In my later interview with Israel's Begin, I asked him when he would take the necessary steps to move this new peace initiative from long-distance dialogue to a person-to-person meeting.
Tomorrow I will make a statement in our parliament in the afternoon, and I think that immediately after this statement I will get in touch with Mr. Lewis, my good friend, the American ambassador, and so find out. What I can assure you, Mr. Cronkite, as we really want the visit of President Sadat, we really want to negotiate peace, to establish permanent peace in the Middle East, I will not hesitate to send such a letter.
Are there any preconditions? Are there any conditions under which you will be inviting him to?
No preconditions, and I understand that also President Sadat doesn't put forward any preconditions. He has got his position, we have our position. Let us sit together around the table and talk peace, and everybody will bring his position.
He hinted to me this morning that he thought it might be possible that he would be going to Israel if the invitation was forthcoming within a week or so. Do you think that's realistic?
Very good news. Well, if President Sadat is ready to come next week, if he tells me that he will come next week, I will have to postpone my trip to Britain, because I am supposed to go next Sunday to London at the invitation of Prime Minister Callahan. But I suppose that Prime Minister Callahan will also be agreeable rather to postpone that meeting for a week and rather have President Sadat in Jerusalem, because it gives hope to have peace in the Middle East. But if President Sadat would come after my return from Europe, I will come back home next Friday after my visit to London and to Geneva, and then he may come the other Monday. But anyhow, any time, any day he is prepared to come, I will receive him cordially at the airport, go together with him to Jerusalem, also present him to the Knesset, and let him make a speech to our parliament. I will follow him onto the platform, greet him, receive him. I think it's now up to President Sadat to carry out his, let me say, promise or bring into fruition his readiness to come to Jerusalem.
At an Arab foreign ministers meeting in Tunis, John Sheehan reports that PLO delegates privately view a Sadat trip to Israel as very, very bad, but they say they will not publicly criticize Sadat. In Washington, the State Department says a Geneva peace conference still is needed, and if one is not held this year, Secretary Vance is considering a January trip to the region to get talks going. Incidentally, at the Tunis meeting, the Egyptian and Libyan foreign ministers announced a peace agreement ending their 4-year-old feud.